You are welcome back to this channel. So we are still on polynomials, but I want to teach you how you can factorize the polynomial when you are not given a divisor at all. So that is what we want to do today. So factorize f of x to be equal to x cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x minus 8. Now, to factorize a polynomial completely will be in form of x plus or minus p multiplied by x plus or minus q multiplied by x plus or minus r. So if you multiply all those x, so the first term will be x cubed. So you can see it's in form of this. It's because the degree of the polynomial of the one that I want to work on here is 3. So that is why we take 3 factors here. So, and if you multiply the first term of each factors, you can see that it gives us x cubed. Now, the last term of that polynomial is minus 8. That means the last term of these factors, if you multiply those factors together, the last term will be plus or minus p, q, r. It means that p, q, r must be factors of minus 8. So for us to know the value of p, q, and r, we have to look for the factors of minus 8. So it means that p, q, r could be so plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4, and plus or minus 8. So the first thing now is that let's test for plus or minus 1. So let's take x to be equal to plus or minus 1. So let's check whether x plus 1 is a factor of this polynomial. We want to check whether x plus 1 is a factor of x cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x minus 8. And how do we test that? You have to equate this factor x plus 1 to be equal to 0. So x plus 1 is equal to 0, then x will be equal to minus 1. So wherever we see x, we are going to put minus 1. If the answer gives us 0, that means x plus 1 is a factor of this polynomial. So f of minus 1, wherever we see x, we are going to put minus 1 is equal to minus 1 cubed, then minus 7 multiplied by minus 1 squared plus 14x. This is 14x, then minus 8. So plus 14 multiplied by minus 1, then minus 8. So here, I told you in the last video that a negative raised to the power of a odd number, especially negative 1 raised to the power of odd number, will give you that negative number. So minus 1 raised to the power of 3 will give you minus 1. So negative of 1 raised to the power of even number will give you positive 1. So here will give us minus 1. Then minus 2 raised to the power 2 is positive 1. So minus 7 multiplied by 1 will give us minus 7. So plus 14 multiplied by minus 1 will give us minus 14, then minus 8. So minus 1 minus 7 is equal to minus 8. Minus 8 minus 14 is equal to minus 22. Minus 22 minus 8 is equal to minus 30. That means f of minus 1 is not equal to 0. It means that x plus 1 is not a factor of x cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x minus 8. So the next thing that we need to do now is that we have to test for x minus 1. And x minus 1, you equate it to be equal to 0. Then you have x is equal to 1. So wherever we see x now, we are going to put 1 is equal to x cubed, then 1 cubed, then minus 7 multiplied by 1 squared, then plus 14 multiplied by 1, then minus 8. So f of 1 will be equal to 1, then minus 7 plus 14, then minus 8. So f of 1 will be equal to 1 minus 7 is equal to minus 6. Minus 6 plus 14 is equal to plus 8. Plus 8 minus 8 is equal to 0. So when the remainder is equal to 0, it means that x minus 1 is a factor of x squared, x cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x plus 8. So the next thing now is that you can test for plus or minus 2, test for plus or minus 4, test for plus or minus 8, but that will be cumbersome and you can easily make mistakes. So the next thing that you can do now is that you have to make this x minus 1 your divisor, and x cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x minus 8 will be your dividend. Then you divide, then you can find other factors. So let's do it. X cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x minus 8. Then x minus 1 will be our divisor. That's the first factor. So the next thing is that you use the first term of the divisor to divide the first term of the dividend. So like x cubed divided by x a1, then we have x squared. So x squared, you write your x squared here. So that's the first term of the quotient. Then you multiply the first term of the quotient by all the two terms of the divisor. X squared multiplied by x gives x cubed. X squared multiplied by minus 1 gives minus x squared. Then you subtract. X cubed minus x cubed gives 0. Minus 7x squared minus x squared will give you minus 6x squared. Then you bring the next term down. So plus 14x. So this minus 6x squared plus 14x will be your new dividend now. So this remains your divisor. So the first term of the divisor divided by the first term of the dividend will give us minus 6x. Minus 6x multiplied by x will give me minus 6x squared. Minus 6x multiplied by minus 1 will give me plus 6x. So the next thing for me is to subtract. Minus 6x squared minus 6x squared will give me 0. 14x minus 6x will give me 8 plus 8x. Now I will bring the next term down. So minus 8. So here, this is the new dividend now. So the first term of the divisor, we are going to use it to divide the first term of the new dividend now. So 8x divided by x will give me plus 8. So 8 multiplied by x gives 8x. Plus 8 multiplied by minus 1 gives me minus 8. Then I need to subtract now. If I subtract, 8x minus 8x gives 0. Minus 8 minus 8 gives me 0. So after getting the last term to be equal to 0, it means that I do not have any remainder. So now my quotient now is x squared minus 6x plus 8. So this is the quotient. So the next thing for me now is to factorize this one now. So it's a quadratic equation now. And to factorize the quadratic equation, I have to multiply the coefficient of x squared by the constant here, which is 8. So I got plus 8. So I need to look for two factors of plus 8 that after adding it together, I must get minus 6. So that means I need minus 2 and minus 4. So x squared minus 2x minus 4x plus 8 is equal to 0. So here x is common to this one. So I have x, then minus 2. Then if I bring out minus 4 out here, I will have x minus 2 be equal to 0. So then I have x minus 4 multiplied by x minus 2. If you have any issue with quadratic equation, you can watch my videos. We have done video on that quadratic equation. So here now, I will now multiply this one, which is the first factor, by the two factors that I've gotten now. So x minus 1 multiplied by x minus 2 multiplied by x minus 4 will be the factors of this polynomial. X cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x minus 8. So that is how to factorize a polynomial completely. You can see that we were not given any divisor. We were not told to do division or whatever. So the next thing for us to do is that you have to look for the degree of that polynomial. So it's the degree that will determine how many factors you are going to get. So the degree of this polynomial is 3, and it is most likely for us to have 3 factors. So you have to write it down. Then you look for the last term, which is minus 8. You multiply the last term of the factors together. So those P, Q, R must be the factors of that last term. If you check here, minus 1 is a factor of minus 1. Minus 2 is a factor of minus 1 is a factor of minus 8. Minus 2 is a factor of minus 8. Minus 4 is a factor of minus 8. So all these factors, the second part of each factor must be the factors of the last term. So I think you understand this still very well. So till I see you in the next class, thank you and God bless you. Bye bye.